One post on X, one excited fan base, and two parties potentially falling out. Hi, I'm Wayne, and welcome to Goals by the Numbers. Let's just get straight into it. So, this week, something interesting happened. As we all recently know, Ruben Amorim has had some mixed results, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe took the time, as Manchester United's minority investor, to declare in an interview that he wanted to give Ruben Amorim 3 years to prove he was the right manager. That statement alone should help give everyone clarity and help Ruben Amorim get a bit more breathing space to implement the changes he wants to do and try to take the team forward. Statistically, he's in a bad place. But Jim Ratcliffe came out in an interview, made a statement, okay, life moved on. But later on that day, there was an ex post posted by Turki Al-Sheikh. Now, he is known as someone essentially as the face of Saudi sport. So be it UFC, be it boxing, be it tennis, he is your guy, the main guy. He posted a he posted on X that he was aware that there was an investor discussing with Manchester United and it was nearly towards the confirmed stage. Now, what this done was send the fans into an absolute spin because the assumption or the understanding was does investment mean that someone's going to buy the club potentially? And with how things have been going over the last 18 months since Ineos and Jim Ratcliffe took over, we could actually argue that so far the results have been worse than under the Glazers. What would a new investor actually get if they were to invest in Manchester United? Or more importantly, why would Manchester United be seeking an investor potentially? Now I have to state that a lot of this is just speculation because there was an ex post, there have been other ex posts in response, and nothing official has come out from the club. And I'll mention more on that later. So, why would an investor get involved with Manchester United at this point? Um, Maybe someone does genuinely want to buy the club. That would be a reason to speak to the Glazers because the Glazers do have the drag along clause. And if they wanted to sell, an investor or potentially owner would be acquiring what? The Glazers near 68% and Ratcliffe's 29, and then together be the main shareholder. Maybe a new investor would fund the stadium, and on completion of the stadium being built, they would then get a percentage of the club as ownership, so they can, have a stake in the club going forward. Maybe there is naming rights that is being discussed, and that is a way for Manchester United to bring additional funds into the club to help pay for the stadium, pay off the debts, etc., etc. Now, there have been a few reports that Manchester United are going to play some friendlies in Saudi Arabia during the season due to the fact that they are out of the Carabao Cup. I always call it the Carabao Cup in my mind. It always is. They're out of one cup competition already. So with one game a week until January, and assuming they win that FA Cup tie and don't have one game a week going forward, a bit like the end of season tour at the end of last season, Manchester United are looking for various ways to try and generate additional income to bring into the club to just help with the general running of the business. Wages have to be paid, debts have to be paid, transfers have to be made. So money coming in is always a good thing. After the initial tweet came out, there were responses. So, for example, Stephen Railston, he mentioned the drag-along clause in one tweet and also mentioned the fact that, as far as he was aware, Manchester United, as in the wider Manchester United, so the Glazers, the board, Ratcliffe, Ineos, etc., weren't aware of any kind of ongoing deal. And that's fine. Again, this is all speculation at this point. But we do know that the Glazers have a history of being very, very quiet with just a lot of things that they're doing. In fact, that when they actually did announce that they were looking for investment into the club previously, that came as a shock because nobody was expecting them to actually go out to the market. So what exactly does a drag-along clause mean? So a drag-along clause allows majority shareholders to sell their stake and the stake of minority shareholders, and it essentially means that the minority shareholder won't try and hold up the deal, destroy the deal, kibosh the deal, so on and so forth. And essentially the goal is to make it easier to be able to sell your stake to another party because an additional stake comes with it. So for example, the deal that the Glazers got with Sir Jim and Ineos was that within the 18-month period post Sir Jim and Ineos getting involved, the drag-along clause would be in effect. And what that meant is, if the Glazers decided to sell, Sir Jim's share would also go with it. Now, where it gets a bit murky and a bit more, I guess, nuanced is Ratcliffe and Ineos paid $33 a share. Okay, fine. So with the drag-along clause and the fact that Manchester United's share price currently is less than half of that, they would essentially have to look to someone to spend about 5.8 billion USD to buy the club, but that would also include Ratcliffe's portion as well, which he would have no way to refuse, at least until the 18-month period ended, which would be in, I believe like February 2027. But at that point, $33 a share isn't like a fixed amount. So Manchester United's share price before this speculation was about $14, $15. With the way things are going, that could drop, assuming there's no massive spike due to really good finances or speculation about another owner. So if it were to drop to say $10 a share, the drag-along clause period were to end, as in the fixed price of $33, then the value of the club would be much, much lower. And we know the fact that it takes a year to do a deal. At least it did in the last instance where Ratcliffe came on, only to actually have minority investment. A year from now, it would be in October till next year, 2026, we get us really, really close to that point. So I suppose realistically, for the Glazers, if they were ever to try and maximize the value that they could extract from the club, with the club not actually going through a successful period, I guess now would be the time. And the fact that Ratcliffe would just have to go with you. You could sell him a significant chunk to someone else. And this is where the tweet from Turki comes in. He then posted a second tweet where he clarified that he was not involved in the deal himself, nor was it anyone from his country. Okay, thank you for the clarification. But reports also came out around after this tweet that it was the UAE who were looking to invest. So Middle Eastern money coming into the Premier League, fine, got to buy clubs, got to do business, so on and so forth, absolutely fine. This was also corroborated by TalkSport, and it was also corroborated by Chris Wheeler at The Mirror. So we are now at the point where Manchester United still haven't said anything officially. And as a publicly listed company on the New York Stock Exchange, they are actually compelled to officially say, no, we are not looking to sell the club or take a significant investment. And they have to declare it either way. So if they are looking to, they have to say. If they're not looking to do it, they also have to say, because in the last few days, the share price has started to increase and nothing's happened. It's the international break. There have been no games. There have been no other significant news articles. And the only thing that's happened of significance is that Jim Ratcliffe came out and said the manager will get 3 years. But with the form that the team have been in since having this manager, that should have made the share price go down. So what do we think? Would new investment into the club be a good thing? Or would it have to be a case of someone that has to take the majority share and start running the club? Would Amorim survive change of ownership? Would Sir Jim and Ineos be happy, content with the fact that they seem to be doing all the dirty jobs? So removing staff, removing free lunches, only then to have someone else swoop in, remove them and take the Glazers' share, and then ride off into the distance and take Manchester United to better times. Only time will tell. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.